Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Mr. Optimistic. On this channel we go over a couple of main things I try to cover. One would be how my injury forced me to double down and go harder on my supplemental lifts, usually call them my upper body days, and how I usually warm up prior to, I would say, a majority of my training sessions, and finally how I usually start to cut weight. So going over basically how I forced myself into doing more upper body workouts was basically because of my injury. I caught a 245-pound clean on my left wrist, which pretty much should have broke my wrist, but instead it just severely sprained it. I went to a doctor, got x-rays. There was really nothing conclusive in terms of like, oh, there's a break, there's this, there's that. He was just saying it was a really severe sprain, so I eventually got some soft tissue work, which helped my mobility pretty drastically. And then after that, it was just, starting the lifts again from scratch. Basically went from, snatching 90 kilos, 95 kilos, pretty much every other training session, to just barely getting a snatch position overhead with the bar. And during that time it was heavily demoralizing, and for me at least it was pretty depressing because going and training at such a high frequency and high level, and winning competitions and placing very high, to not even competing at all and going back to square one was pretty rough, to be honest. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of pushing from my coaches to, get myself remotivated, and which makes these, max attempts like this one right here more rewarding, because going from a bar, going to barely pressing the bar over my head, which it was like a 9 out of 10 pain, from doing this right now is like amazing. The feeling you get is just like, oh my god, yes, dude. Just so pumped, and it makes all that time worth it. Even all the heavy misses, it always feels good, because you're progressing, and it's only a matter of time before you crush those heavier weights, right? And for me, I understood that it's gonna take like 8 months for me to be able to get confident enough to attempt another max again, and that's pretty much how it went. I got another membership at Choose, and I started doing, just pure upper body workouts, because I lost a whole lot of muscle mass in my upper body, specifically in my left arm. So, for me, which helped me increase that muscle mass, obviously, was just going back to the bro workouts, going 4 sets of 12, 4 sets of 15 with moderate weight, and just concentrating on those movements, feeling all that muscle tissue break. And I barely missed that one, dude. Oh, that was so close. Anywho, so doing those 4 sets of 12s, 4 sets of 15s, just got my, body used to those movements again. And man, if it looked weird, just, I'm a pretty big dude, and doing like 15 pounds and just kind of feeling that muscle tissue just breaking, and I was like, my left wrist was just like shaking and having pretty rough time, completing those reps. But, I just had to do several reps more than my right to kind of keep everything balanced. And it took about 6 months for me to, do everything pretty confidently in terms of snatching, turning, doing the wrist turnover, and locking out. And, during that time I was fighting with instability, and obviously the catch, and one trap engaging more than the left, and just my coach was kind of critiquing me and just keeping an eye on me in terms of like making sure I wasn't overcompensating. And also during that time, the left side of my leg was kind of atrophying a little bit, and I had to do more single leg squats to kind of even things out, but just do more glute exercises as well to make sure everything was activating. That was a pretty rough time, but now it's been about I would say about a year and 6 months. Since that injury, I'm almost starting to lose track. It feels like a long time ago. At the same time, it feels like it was just yesterday. But in during that time, implementing those 2 extra days in bodybuilding really showed a significant difference, and helped my body recover faster. And by no means was that an easy feat. I work full time, and I have to get up around 5:30 to get that hour in, and I have to double up some days, and the body does take a toll. It definitely does take a toll, and a lot of gas too. And since I live in California, everybody knows that's around $3.50 or so. But I digress. So some of the main exercises I do is tricep extension, mostly for the jerk lockout, the good old, standing bicep curls. Then I switch to the hammer curls, and I also do just regular flat bench. I try to get high volume on those. And I also use the machine to do more bicep curls. And I also do the lat pull downs and dumbbell rows. And all of those are at minimum 3x12 on the hypertrophy days. Maybe 4 sets by 12 if I feel good and if the body can move efficiently, right? And for the heavier days, I usually do 2 sets of 3 and get those heavier weights in, right? My watch was actually, if you see the weird zooming in, zooming out, my watch on my wrist was, I was wearing straps, so it was going in and out, moving the crown, digital crown, because I have a Apple Watch there. Quick sidebar here. These no feet snatches really felt good. They're really coming together, and that kind of can segue into my next topic, which is how I usually warm up. Usually I do a lot of, barbell conditioning is what we call it, right? 5 snatch presses, 5 snatch push presses, 5 overhead squats, and then 5 snatch balances, and into 5 snatch presses in the hole. So repeat for 2 times. And if we're going for a heavier day, we try to get them with some weight on. Typically 5 kilos on each side. If not, you're feeling good, throw some 10 kilos on each side. So that equals to about 90 pounds or so. And once you segue into that, usually if we're doing any jerk movements, prior to that you would do some split jerks, nice and easy, forehead split jerks, which are my favorites. Basically you would stand on your tippy toes, get the bar directly on your forehead, and drop straight down. Practice that dynamic movement in terms of locking your elbows out and getting that timing so your front foot is perfectly bent and that back foot knee drops straight. So finally, basically we're going to segue into how I cut weight. Cutting weight is annoying. Cutting weight is difficult. Cutting weight is not fun. Let's just get that out of the way right now. You just got to make sure you want to hit your weight goal typically with a week, maybe a week and a half to spare, because you don't want to get close, because when you get close you start getting a little desperate. And by getting desperate, if you don't know about cutting water weight, you're gonna learn about it very quick in this sport if you don't cut weight efficiently. So long story short, for me at least, with Miss Jerk, but for me at least, cutting weight is just counting calories, keeping it simple, no crazy sweets, maybe a Skittle or 2, because we all have our weak vices, right? But you definitely need to make sure your nutrition's on point, so you have enough calories in you, carbs in you, protein in you, to get all of your last weeks of training in efficiently. So just like these ones right here, I'm going for a max triple, and my fuel that I had was 4 ounces of tuna at around 7 in the morning, and before I lifted I had about 6 to 7 ounces of chicken, just shredded chicken, with a little bit of salt, nothing too crazy, no spices or anything like that, because I'm weird. I have a weird relationship with food. We'll get into it next time, but You just really want to make sure that you are well within your weight goal, within 3 to 4 pounds the week of, if that. For me, I tend to cut it close, which is something I personally have a good opportunity on, but I usually I am 2 to 3 pounds below weigh-in weight on weigh-in day. And so just refeeding, refueling is very important, that you do it efficiently and you don't do it sloppily. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much again for watching. If you have any comments, any feedback, leave it in the comment section down below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and again, if you have any videos you want me to take a look at, I would love to put my 2 cents in. Been doing this for a while, and I always think another pair of eyes will make everybody more efficient at the end of the day. Thank you again, guys, for watching. I will see you next week. See ya.